What is up, everybody? Drew here from Lemme Get That Podagraph and quite a few other shows, Hobby Hotline, Roughing the Passer, and these general Facebook rooms. But welcome to a very special event today. In just a few moments, I'll be pulling in Mr. Brian Gray. You guys know him, of course. We're doing this in Coast, so all of you guys here know him. Obviously, for those of you that don't, that watch this on the later repeat, Brian is the current owner of Leaf Trading Cards, but he's been in the hobby for quite some time and tons of various roles. Everything from, I think, a show vendor all the way back in '88, store owner, distributor. He's been on all ends of the spectrum. And this is a very interesting and different time in the hobby. And a lot of people are left with a whole lot of questions. And so Brian thought it was a good idea that, he come on and kind of talk. There's really nobody better to discuss this topic. And so without further ado, as I do see there are quite a few of you jumping in, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am going to bring in the man himself, Mr. Brian Gray. So let's pull him in now. How's it going, Brian?
It's good, except for the fact my boy Tom Brady is gone.
Oh,
I don't know what else. Life's getting pretty crappy when I have to go buy Buccaneers gear.
No, like I told you, you're better than that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
It's coming. But Brady's my boy, so I'm pretty sad. But
yeah,
at least I don't have any Brady rookies in my portfolio, so I don't have to watch them deteriorate. So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, if you have any questions throughout the show, please leave them in the comments. I'm trying to see how it looks like in these groups. The comments, trying to look how these comments are going to show up here. But if you do have any questions, please let us know through the comments here. But Brian, I guess first of all, let's really just go over the big broad topic, and we can jump into some specifics as we go along. This obviously the world is in a state that we've never seen. The United States, at least, is in a state that we've never been in before, all across the board. And it starts to affect the hobby. Yesterday, PSA, being forced to shut down. Now apparently they're back open, I've heard. But a lot of stuff really happening, and a lot of people in the hobby, that some that have been in for a long time, as long as you, and even longer, starting to really have some major concerns. And so when you look at this from being an owner, a card company, an owner of a card company, what do you think about all this that's going on right now?
Well, first, let me. I guess most of the guys here know who I am. Since we're still a couple minutes before 7:30.
Sure.
I'm gonna give the 2-second spiel about where I come from.
Absolutely.
Because I think it gives a unique perspective to why I think the things I think, and I'm no genius. I'm sure I've been wrong about some things and right about some things. I certainly don't bet 1,000. I spec on Nike, but also I spec on Topps Chrome LeBrons and Topps Chrome Kobe's. So, I hit and miss like everybody else.
Right.
But, I've been doing this for a long time. I started doing shows in 1988. I was a show dealer. Yeah. I worked at stores, owned stores. We owned one of the largest distributors in the history of the hobby, Edgeman, back in the old days. When Yu-Gi-Oh was hot, I know we had one year we sold $80 million in just Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, we were doing crazy numbers back. I mean, just stupid numbers back then. But then I always had a dream to make cards. In 2008 with Razor and signing almost the entire first round of the draft exclusive. I wish I'd picked 2009 with Trout, but it turned out to be 2008 with Tim Beckham and Pedro Alvarez and such. But that was my entree, and then Leaf in 2010 was the turning point. And so through this, it's really provided an opportunity to see this from every side of it. Mm-hmm. Before I was a show dealer, I was a collector. And now, besides being a manufacturer, I'm a pretty crazy speculator. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Right.
I am, when I fall in love with something, I get stupid. And I'll buy amazing amounts of stuff because I just can't stop.
Yeah.
I participate in breaks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to pump any particular breaker, but I know if you go to Leighton Sports Cards, you'll find me in there sometimes.
Right.
And I love, my favorite part is whether I do good in the break or not, I like in there because it's so fun to see people that collect. Like, because I actually collect. I'm the only CEO or owner of a card company that actually collects. It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
So
It is.
The back intro on me. If you didn't know me, I've told my story 100 times. If you haven't heard it, you must have been hiding under a rock. But
well, like you said,
is that what I see. Oh, you froze up on me.
No, what was that? We got you here. You back? Let's see. We might be having a little bit of internet problems with Brian real fast. We'll take a look with that.
You were frozen up.
See.
You were frozen up there.
Looks like he's coming back. Okay, all right, we're back. Okay, no, I was just gonna say, you're with everything that you just said, your entire background, it really does. You've seen the hobby from all angles. You've been involved in the hobby in all angles. So, when you see something like this come up, I think you are really the perfect person to discuss all of this. So, let's I guess we'll dive right into it. With everything that is going on. What are you seeing right now, and what are your initial thoughts?
First thing, and I want to preface everything I'm going to say with what I've thought about for the last week, and I prayed about. I mean, you're going to make fun of me for praying about it, but I've thought about, prayed about, deeply considered, really soul searched what's going on in the world, my role in that, who I am, who my family is, I think about cards constantly. I think about my investments and all these things. But I'll tell you, I want to preface this with the reason this is on Coast to Coast and that we didn't broadcast this on Twitter. On Twitter, we would probably have a lot of people seeing this.
Yes.
And I am targeting this message directly to this community for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you want to share this with people that are like us, and when I say us, I'm talking about the Coast to Coast crowd. Us hustlers, we're speculators, we're flippers, we're investors, we're all kinds of crazy things that I don't think the guys in other Facebook groups necessarily are. So I did not generally do this for public broadcast because the message is not all kisses, hugs, and making out. Right. That's just not what it is. The reality is, I think if you are holding cards right now, and you are going to need money in the next 3 months at least, I don't know why the hell you have any cards. Right. I'm not being funny. If you need money right now, you need to be selling. And I want to preface this with, I'm not looking to buy your stuff cheaper. That's not why I'm doing this. Right. Some of you have tried to sell me stuff this week and found out that it's gotten a lot harder to sell me stuff. And that's because I think there will be a better buying opportunity. I don't think everything's going to plummet. I do not think the sky is falling. I don't think it's the end of the world. But all you have to do is look at eBay. Yep. And you see a card close for $180 last night, and today there's buy it nows at $169. Then you see them close at $169 or $172, and there's buy it nows at $159 the very next day. That tells you that we're in a disjointed position here. This asset class, and again, the reason I'm talking here and not in the big groups is this has nothing to do with breaking boxes. Right. This has nothing to do with fun. This has nothing to do with picking your team and good luck. This has nothing to do with gambling. This has nothing to do with I love the Oakland A's for some reason, or am I still going to love the Pats without Brady? It has nothing to do with any of that. This is a card flipper discussion. Guys who have piles of slabs in a closet. This isn't just enjoyment. This is about money.
Yep.
If you have any chance in the world that you need money in the next 3 months, you should be selling. Most of you guys have heavy-duty stuff that's not my kind of stuff. There's a whole card right now that you might have any chance you need to sell in the next. Now, that only applies to certain things. If you're holding National Treasures Lucas, and that's your card, you probably need to keep those because you probably can't sell them and buy them back 3 months from now cheaper. But I'm a believer that the guys hoarding up, and you can pick your card, whether it's Luka Prism PSA 10s or Acuna PSA 10s, or if you go higher end, Zion Silver 9.5. Again, I'm not just picking on Prism because I love Prism.
Right, yeah.
I'm a huge buyer of Prism.
Yeah, me too.
But you pick your card. Topps Update Acuna's, Connor McDavid, Young Gun, PSA 10s, whatever your card is.
Yeah.
Some Leaf card, I don't know. I mean, I think if you're holding those cards right now and there's any chance you're going to want to sell them soon, you should actually be selling them in other Facebook groups while I'm talking. Because I'm 100% telling you, you're going to buy this stuff back cheaper. Never in history has every asset class in the world taken a crap, which is what's happening right now. And investment grade trading cards are almost completely stable. And in fact, they've been running like stupid over the last week while the world's falling apart. Now, again, I'm not saying this to just panic you or do whatever.
Right.
If you're a strong hand and you got unlimited money and you've got powder dry, that's the big thing. You just got to have some powder dry. Because I do believe the next 30 to 60 days is going to pose some great opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'll be the first to tell someone when I pump up a card, I hate to use the word pump up even. But when I say I think this card is undervalued, which I said before this mayhem started about Soto Topps updates when everyone was pumping Acuna's. Yeah. Gary Vee was talking about Acuna. I went on and said, I would buy Soto 100 times out of 100 over Acuna because of the price.
Exactly.
But guess what? The world has changed.
Yeah.
Everything has changed. The rules have changed. Yet these cards have barely changed in value. So to me, and again, I'm not a doomsayer. I still believe in 60 days everything will probably be wine and roses. I really do think that.
Same here.
But that doesn't mean you can't make a lot of money in the next 2 months.
Exactly.
Or save a lot of money if you're going to need to sell some cards. I go to these shows and I see these 15-year-old kids with 50 or 100 grand worth of crap in their showcases.
Oh, yeah.
And every so often I'll say, I'll even talk to the kid. I'll even kind of ask him, where'd this come from? Because when I started, I had $1,000. And I went to Sam's and bought 5 cases of 1987 Donruss. That's how I started. So I don't know how these kids have 50 or 100 grand worth of crap in their counter. I don't think they just got lucky and bought it for 10. I don't know where it came from.
I know.
But unless they've got another 250 in the bank, they need to listen to this. Cards have not corrected. And I'm just saying, assets that are easily replaceable, I could not more strongly advise people to consider taking profit here with an eye on buying the stuff back. It's not going to be hard to buy Connor McDavid Young Guns or Zion Prism Silver PSA whatevers or Luka Prism PSA 10s or 75 Topps George Brett PSA 8s. I mean, you can pick anything.
Yeah.
These cards are not hard to buy. Exquisite Jordan autos from the old days, fine. You can't sell those. You're never buying them back. Brady contenders, you're probably not buying real ones back.
Yeah.
Those cards probably are gone. They've left the stage. You're not buying PMG Jordans. If that's your investment, you got to hold it now because selling it, you'll never buy it back, and you'll miss the recovery 30 or 60 days from now. But honestly, I can't sit here and watch people making a mistake, and I think we're making a mistake out there. I made a mistake. Over the last week, I probably sold $150,000 worth of stuff very quietly because I didn't want people to see I was trying to sell stuff. I have a lot more to sell, and I am probably going to sell a lot more in the next week or 2, 3, because I think there will be a buyback opportunity coming. I really believe that. That was my core message here is, how do we think oil's going to lose 66%? And the stock market's going to lose 30%. And come on.
Right.
But hold on. Zion Williamson's going to go up 10, 15% in that same time. For real? You can't buy toilet paper.
I know.
And Zion Williamson's going to go up in the face of the market in every other commodity taking a dump.
Yeah.
At least wine, you can drink it. So if you invest in wine, at least you can get sloshed on it and feel better. We've got to act like you got to be responsible.
Yeah.
And I think responsible is not just indiscriminately selling for whatever you can get. But you know what? eBay comps don't mean crap. I was talking to Tony, our buddy Rise Up Tony, and he's right.
Now, when you say that, just for, and this is more, I want to preface this for for the people outside of Coast, because I know they probably understand this a lot more. When you say that, what exactly do you mean by eBay comps don't mean crap? Because I completely agree with you.
When everyone's trying to sell cards, they'll say, well, the last one on eBay sold for blank. Comps are this.
Yes.
Well, first off, eBay right this second is rife with BS. Cards that Acuna updates never, ever, ever were worth $250 to $275 like they look like on eBay. No. That was a sham. Now, I do believe they were worth $200. Maybe a touch over $200. I do believe that. But then it got stupid. You know, and there's cards that you see sells, cards on eBay like LeBron's that look like they're worth $7,000 on Chrome. I had 100 of them 9 months ago, 10, 12 months ago. So I can tell you that I know that card. That card has never, ever been worth $7,000. Yeah. Because when it was worth $7 on eBay, I was trying to sell it for $5,200 in private groups. No one would touch it. Yeah. So it's you can't look at that. The other problem with comps is that yesterday's comp was probably bid on 3 days before.
Exactly.
And guess what? Every day they're closing down freaking bars and restaurants.
Yeah.
In the last 3 days, exactly. I've had at least 100 items that I'm bidding on eBay.
Yeah.
Where the person who outbid me retracted their bid.
Right.
And I know people use that game a lot just to try to shill bid you up or whatever, or figure out what the real number is. Yeah. But this was like people really retracting bids. Yeah. Like people really having second thoughts. Because I looked at who the bidders were, and they weren't like usual suspect kind of scumbags. Yeah. So I'm just telling you, you can't look at a comp and say, well, yesterday it sold for $600. Right. I'm sorry, that's not where we're at. That person might have been 3 days ago, and they probably won't pay. Yeah. Because I'm telling you now, people, I have sent some of my personal stuff to consignments, and these guys are sending me emails saying these items didn't get paid for. Right. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean. Oh yeah. We see it. We see it all the time. What was a Chrome LeBron for $7,200? I thought I sold that sucker. Yeah. I was so excited.
Yeah. I would have been too.
It was never real. There was a fake bid. It was garbage. And I just think we now have to reset our minds and just say, let's start over. We're not panicking. Do not panic. This is not designed to get you to say, oh my God, we better sell Brian everything we got. I don't give a crap. I'm probably not going to buy half as much as I have been until the market resets a little bit, because I think everyone's wrong. I think the market is wrong right now. Now, I've been wrong before, so maybe everything can go up from here. Maybe this is the bottom, because, sometimes when some idiot comes on and says, this is sell, sometimes that's the bottom, Right. I don't think so this time. I think we have barely even dented the value of a lot of these replaceable cards. Mm-hmm. And not trout oranges. You can't replace those. Yeah. Do not go sell your trout oranges. But replaceable cards, we haven't seen a dent. So that was the core part of the message that I'm like, I can't sit back and watch these guys trying to milk. I have no interest in 90% of these cards either. I just look on groups like Coast to Coast, and I'm like, I shake my head. And I'm like, the guy put it up for $1,800, and the guy offered $17.25, and the last one sold for $1,840. And I'm like, are you in the real world? Right. I'm serious.
I know. I agree.
If you want to buy eggs, that's about the only food you can buy anymore. There's going to be a chicken glut because the grocery store's got eggs everywhere, but you can't buy nothing else.
I know.
I'm telling you, we have to be real. And as a group, Coast to Coast, and that's why it's only in this group and it's not out for every mass consumption, we kind of owe it to each other to be real. Yeah. And to say, you know what? We probably should, in a very orderly fashion, really assess what we're holding. Mm-hmm. Just look at your portfolio. Some of you guys have probably, I don't know, if you have 50 grand, 100 grand, 20 grand, whatever you have worth of stuff. You may say, you know what? I really feel comfortable with that. And my answer to that is awesome. You did a good job of leaving some powder dry so you could really enjoy the deals. Right. But I'm telling you now, I noticed on a couple of cards that I've been hoarding up. Mm-hmm. I quit buying on Sunday. Yeah. And those cards have dropped 20-25% once I quit buying. And I'm not saying I'm some superhero, but they're cards where I had committed, like Topps Update Sotos, where I said in my head, I'm going to buy 1,000 cards at somewhere in the 85 to 100 range. Mm-hmm. And because I have quantity already, and I was thinking I'll add 1,000 cards at that level. And I got to be honest, I bought some yesterday at 90, and that's when I was like, what am I doing? They're going to be cheaper. And sure enough, on eBay, they're $85 now.
Right.
And if I'll shut my mouth and just stay off of eBay for 4 days, I'll probably buy them for $75 again. You know, and so I'm just saying, I think the guys in this community, we owe it to each other to just be honest with our friends. If we saw our friend doing something that was hurting themselves, we'd say, dude, quit cutting yourself. Quit doing drugs. You're doing drugs if you're not looking at what your stuff's worth and being real and saying, you know what? I need to make sure I've got some powder dry. When I say powder dry, I mean more money that if a deal comes up, because there's going to be deals that you can play. And I know a lot of guys in this group that have no powder dry. I know a few guys in this group that owe some people a lot of money.
Right.
But they like playing big because everything goes up. So why not? Why not take cards on margin like stocks?
Right.
People buy stock on margin when everything's going up, but those people today lost everything plus.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying we have to be more responsible. So that's the basic message.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I think there's great cards out there. There are going to be some cards I will probably accumulate over the next couple weeks if the market reacts like I think it is. If I'm completely wrong, then I guess I'll miss the boat. I cannot imagine commodity cards making any significant rise in the next 2 to 3 months. So I think this is something we have to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's why I said I think the message, the comments, the thought process, because I would love for someone in the comments section to say, Brian, you're freaking nuts. Cards are going to be incredible for this reason. Because honestly, I would love to hear a compelling reason.
Yeah.
We are in the off season for every sport.
I know.
The prices have not dropped to off-season prices. Never mind that people are going to die probably everywhere. You can't go out to eat. You're bound to your house. You can't talk to your grandma because she's at risk if she even looks at you. You know, never mind all that garbage that has just smacked us up in the head.
Yeah.
Really, forget all that stuff. You just, for real. I mean,
I agree.
So I think I want to hear why there's any compelling reason when the rest of the commodity classes are falling apart, that this is the place to be.
Yeah.
Because even if you're a gambler, and I know a couple of gamblers in this group, they're like, you know what? Cards are a gamble to me. I'll buy 100 Luca PSA 10s at 400. They'll probably be 500 and I'll make 10 grand. But you know what? Eventually stocks are going to be a more fun gamble because they move really fast and you can be in and out in an hour and you can do it all day long from home or work or whatever. So that's just something to be cautious of is some of those gamblers may not be there to gamble on everything in massive volume, whatever. No. So I'm going to quit talking for a minute.
Sure.
You have a few questions. And if you
absolutely.
And please don't get mad at me for being negative. but if I didn't say this, this is like watching two cars about to collide, and you have a chance to honk the horn and stop the accident.
Yeah.
And instead you sit there and relish in pain.
Well, that's why when you approached me with the idea of doing this, which this was totally your idea that you wanted to do. I was thrilled for a bunch of reasons, not only just because I think it's a good idea and something that needs to be done, but also because, we lack so much transparency in this industry so many times. So this is a very nice and refreshing, conversation we're able to have here. But there's a ton of questions I have, and we're getting some in from the comments. Now, guys, unfortunately, when we broadcast here in a private group, we cannot see the name of the comment. So I do not know, at least.
That's even better because then people can be. That's even better because people can be honest, and I can't hold it against them.
So they are anonymous. So I apologize if it's someone that I know or anything. We're not ignoring you by any means, but I just do not know who it is. But Brian, you've been talking about obviously easily replaceable cards and stuff that's the stuff that you need to be focusing on moving and everything. And someone in the comments asked this, and it was actually one of the first questions on my list. And that's when you look at, you were looking at the cards right there. When you look at wax right now, which wax is something obviously, that's moving around more, at least but in groups and between non-distributors and stores, I think it's moving between people at a bigger pace than ever before. So what about wax in that situation?
I feel much better about wax, honestly, because historically in times like this, and especially if we're all bound to our homes,
Yeah.
I feel pretty comfortable that the breakers are going to have a phenomenal run as long as UPS and FedEx and US Mail don't quit.
Right.
As long as they'll keep moving non-essential goods, and as much as we like to think cars are essential, they're probably not considered essential. As long as they'll keep moving the goods, I think the breakers will destroy. I think the interest in opening boxes, for whatever reason, whether it's collecting, gambling, or fun, or whatever, that is very high. I feel much, much better about wax. I don't feel perfect about it because it is not cheap, but most of the stuff that's already gone up, the supply is so short. Prism basketball is not going down. Maybe it'll go down $500 or $1,000 a case, but it's worth on the wholesale market, let's say $8,100 a case. It's not going to $6,000 or $5,500 unless this is a much bigger problem than we think. If people start having major issues, or the country goes into a depression, then yeah, Prism is going to get cheaper. But like those kind of products, I'm not scared of.
Right.
And I've actually thought about shifting more money into them. And to be honest, I'm a very large first off the line buyer. Mm-hmm. I have multiple people sitting there clicking the button, and I've been pretty good at it. And, because I believe those products generally have performed well with limited exceptions. Those have performed really well. So I'm far less concerned about wax. My concern on these slabs really, and I love that market 3 months from now. I really do. Yeah. My concern is a bunch of guys have been buying stuff just because everything goes up.
Right.
And it's like you can pay almost full market. You can pay 90. When was the last time you went into Facebook groups and you could get 100% at eBay? That's almost what's happening now. That's not normal. That's not normal. That's people saying, I'll pay 100% because today's 100% is tomorrow's 80%. Not anymore. Today's 80% is tomorrow's 100. Maybe not 80 to 100, but today's 92% is tomorrow's 100%.
Right. Right. No.
And then when you pay that 92, that's going to be 100. That's going to be 140% a month from now, maybe, or 110%, or who knows. But there is absolutely less risk in wax, I think, if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, when products that are not hard to find skyrocket, like let's think, I'm not going to pick on Topps One Baseball, but let's say Topps One Baseball.
Sure.
If it skyrockets, I would probably be a little concerned.
Mm-hmm.
If Heritage Baseball skyrockets to crazy prices, I'd probably be a little concerned because, I'm a little more concerned there. But the kind of stuff I see people trade in this group specifically, they're buying Prism cases and not cases, select cases. I don't think there's any reason to panic there. And as a manufacturer, this is where I can shed some light on things.
Mm-hmm.
Panini is not making enough product. Leaf is not making, and Topps is not making enough product. Demand is 30 to 100% more than what we're making at Leaf.
Can you state that?
We could sell 50 to 70% more metal football than we're making.
Okay, real fast. I host a podcast and I hear all the time, and I talk to people all the time about this, and you hear people complain so much. You see so many random people complaining about that there's too many cards being made, and I'm so glad you just made that point. And so for the people outside of Coast and that'll be watching this later, please expand on that a little bit, because what you were saying is dead on.
Okay, so for example, for us, we have to project, as a small company, we have to project how much we're going to make. So once we make those decisions, we can't be fluid. Now, where our restraint is the fact that we don't want to overproduce because we're more of a boutique manufacturer. For Panini or someone else, or Upper Deck or Topps, I would think the issue is there's only so many rookies, only so many autographs, only so many game-used assets. The amount of product they can make really has some limitations to it. And it's just not enough. Like metal football, which we're releasing, I think it ships Friday, releases next week, which is phenomenal. The rookies are great. We sold a lot of it. We sold more of it than we've ever sold before. So I will tell people right now the production is the highest we've ever made.
Right.
But the demand is about 50% more than what we made. I could sell 50% more right now. Exactly. Even though I made more, it's not even close to meeting demand. I don't want to talk about my products anymore right now because it's not a pimp. It's not the pimp Leaf hour.
No. Absolutely.
But the point is, Panini is not making close to enough product. Topps is not making close to enough product. And, hockey is a weird bird because Upper Deck's the only game in town because of some of the stuff going on with us and them.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about the rookie side of that business like I do this side of the business.
Mhm.
I'd rather not talk about hockey, but the
Yeah.
other sports, I can tell you, no one can make enough product that's so phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I don't think wax is going to plummet. If you're holding wax, I feel way better about that.
Okay.
Than holding. Again, I'm not picking on Prism. Anthony Davis PSA 10s that are 700 that were 300 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Something is wrong. That card is not 750, but it was 300 3 weeks ago. It's just not. It's not. I'm not stupid. It's not worth that. Yes, Giannis has made it better because Giannis went up, but guess what? I see a lot of people trying to move Giannis's on the QT, and they're not liquid really either. Yes, they're worth a lot on eBay, and I think PSA 10s are probably better than 9.5s as far as liquidity. But I think a lot of those don't get paid for on eBay either.
Yeah.
So, we're just getting a little irrational. And to see things like Kawhi and Anthony Davis and some of these guys go total ape crap in value, I can't look at that and at the same time look at Apple down 30%, 33, 30%. I can't get it. I can't get my arms around that. I can't understand Apple being down 30% and Anthony Davis being up 200 and they're not playing and it's off season and there's no basketball inside. I don't get it. I'm stupid, I guess.
No, I guess I am too.
How can these cards triple? They're not playing.
I know. It's ridiculous to me, and that's where I think I kind of was expecting a drop back well before all this stuff happened. But there's an interesting question here in the comments, and guys, please, if you do have any question whatsoever for Mr. Gray, just leave them in the comments. But we're talking about, like you're saying, when we're gonna jump back to the singles a little bit for a moment, and when this does start to rebound, like you said, probably about say 2 months from now or so. All right, this comment, I'm kind of going to elaborate on the question a little bit too. They say, do you think base cards will still be the way to go to invest in a player? And I'm kind of also going to add in there is, do you see certain cards that maybe were being pumped up and were being that we're seeing a major increase in demand? Do you see a lot of those, maybe pulling back, losing some of that demand when this rebound happens?
Well, I think here's the good thing about, and I hate to call them pumps because, I'm gaining some respect for some of the people that are in that part of the community that like to promote cards or what have you. I think because Luka's got up to $500 or $600 perceived value for a few days, they really could hold 350, 300, 400, something in this range, 300 to 400. They really might hold that. Right. So the good news is because they run up so much, they're probably going to find some real interest at the next level down. I think these base rookies, it is mind-blowing to me how exciting that market has been because we've ignored that category for years and years.
Long time.
Trout changed all that with Topps Update, no doubt about it.
Yep.
People were playing around with some other stuff before then, like Young Guns and stuff like that. But besides that, it's really been the Trout mania has started all this up. Now, if you said, "Hey Brian, what are you going to buy the next 2 or 3 weeks?" I'll be transparent. Cheaper early Acuna autographs would be cards I would buy.
There you go.
Not rookie driven. It could be rookie cards, but it could be RC logo autos. To me, when the market takes a dump the next few weeks, and I think it's going to, I like those autos. I do. And you have to remember, I'm a guy that kind of goes against the grain, and I buy some stuff that some people say I'm nuts. I just don't see how Acuna can have RC logo autographs that are under $200. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, yeah, 100%.
Not when a Topps Update PSA 10 with a pop of a gazillion is 165 or 175. And I love that card. I love it like crazy. I love the Acuna. But I think those autographs, there's no way Ink has become undervalued.
Okay.
The ink on these guys has become undervalued. Absolutely.
You think ink on now, is that baseball in general, or do you think just like stars, like rookies in general in all sports?
I look at like Luka rookies still. I still think Luka rookie autos. Now, Granted, I didn't like them that much at 400, like not Prism, but like the other ones that were going 300 to 400. But some of those things are getting back down in the twos. You know, I could see nibbling on that. 100%.
Sure.
There's things to nibble on right now. There always is, because there's always things people don't appreciate.
Yeah.
But Yelich PSA 10 Tops updates running from 100 to 200 in about 10 seconds in a time when the stock market lost 3,000 points makes no sense. And that's why they're not 200 anymore. But they literally went from 100 to 200 in like 3 snaps and a toot. That's how fast they went up. I mean, it's ridiculous. So that card, that's not real. That card is not 100 to 200 and going to sustain when it goes up that fast. The guy's not playing. There's no baseball. It's off season. And the world's falling apart. And the stock market's falling apart. And oil's $26 because 2 countries can't agree just to sell it and quit being jerks to each other. I mean, again, I'm really not trying to be a naysayer and horribly negative on things. You know? But realistically, I just don't. I think people overlook so many parts of this business. I really think they're overlooking it. I mean, I can tell you, I can see some players quit signing completely in the next year or 2.
Really?
Like quit signing cards completely.
Wow.
Because I'm telling you what, we deal with players every day.
Of course, yeah.
Some of these football players, they flipping hate this.
Yeah.
They hate it. Hate it. And yes, there may be a lot of rookie material, but if they never have an autograph again, you'll see. Or some of these veteran guys, like you'll notice there's a few guys out there who they're not signing many cards anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And those things have inched up a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, I know from personal experience, Cam Newton hates it. Whether it be in session, in person, whatever, absolutely hates it.
And I like Cam, but the reality is, fortunately, supply is going to equal the demand pretty soon.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get back on the field. It won't matter if he signs or not.
Nope.
Unless his mom's looking for 10 or 15, I don't think anyone's going to care. But.
Nope. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, there's a couple of questions here in the comments. I want to make sure that you guys get some of your questions answered. Thanks so much for joining us again. This is a very special and unique event, and I want to thank Brian again for doing this. All right, so here's a comment we have right here and a pretty interesting question. Once again, guys, I cannot see everyone's names. I do not know exactly who asked this, but they're saying, would you sell singles now at a loss to market and put in undervalued premium wax? Zion, for example, or do you take the loss to market and play in capital market? Primarily curious, will the singles slingshot later post downturn? So what do you think?
Yeah, when the market returns to normal, singles are singles are my preferred investment vehicle. And I will tell you that generally I have more assets in single cards, graded rookie cards or otherwise, than I do in the stock market. Generally, that would be a rule of thumb for me. I believe it's a great asset class. I love the fact that trading cards have a finite number. Even if that number Tops update, you can say it's 1 billion cards, whatever you want, on Acuna, whatever. But I don't care. It's still less shares than there are most companies. And companies can keep selling shares. They can make a public offering and create more. So, I mean, those are huge numbers. These numbers are finite. Exquisite LeBron, there's 99. There will never be more. I love assets that truly have a finite number. Even if that number is 2,000 or 5,000 or 400 or 100, doesn't really matter. Yeah. When real money has come in this business, which it has, we have a lot of real investors who moved into this business.
Oh, yeah.
They may not even know about cards, but they're like, cards are money, cash money. So they're buying stuff. And that's helped fuel this.
Yeah. But
those investors who do not care about cardboard, they now have some other options at their disposal. They've got $250 Apple. They've got $360 Tesla. If they're feeling a little more gambly, if they're really gambling, they got $10 American Airlines. You know, they got a $96 Boeing. So there's all kinds of choices out there. So let's don't just rely on those big dollar investors who know nothing about cards, but they have more money than brains. We can't rely on them now. So going back to your question, it doesn't matter what you pay for an asset. It really doesn't. The biggest mistakes I've ever made in investing in cards were saying my average cost is X, And I'm not selling unless I get my average cost or more.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't matter, because if you're like me, I don't have unlimited money. I have a reasonable amount to play with. Some people think we have unlimited money, but we don't. I have enough to play with that I can buy what I need to buy, but I don't have unlimited. And if I bought everything and held it and made it had to go up, or I'm never selling, we all have to turn our stuff. And you guys in the comment room, if you never have to turn stuff, please comment, I never have to turn a card. Because most of the guys I know, that's why they're making great money right now, is because they're turning and yearning and churning and burning. They're buying and selling, making 200 here, 500 here, 100 here. Get lucky and grade a BGS 10, make 1,000 here. That's the nature of the business, is we're turning stuff. So if you get stuck in this mentality, oh man, you know what? I don't want to pick on Acuna updates, except I know that card like the back of my hand. I paid $220 a week ago. I just can't sell those. I'm not taking 175. I mean, I was offering 160. I quit offering that. But let's say there are people who pay 170, 175. I can't take 175 because, man, they were 220 just 1 week ago.
Right.
Well, guess what? I can pull up eBay, and we can probably put it on the screen. I mean, I go through eBay and pull up for 5 hours.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Cards that were and are not.
Yeah.
They're not anymore. And these are good cards that aren't what they were a week ago. I don't think people outside of our little world are really smart people. And I'm calling you guys smart because you are. That's why you're in groups like this.
Yeah.
You're not a lemming.
No.
You're not just a follower who does what everyone tells you to do. You're probably a very creative investor and a creative thinker about this kind of stuff. So to me, do it. Be smart and say shit.
Right.
I hate to cuss, but crap.
No.
I can sell these 75 top spreads. I'll say that so I don't offend anyone or hurt their investment. I can sell them at 270 now and buy them back for 200. I actually don't think you could buy those back because vintage is much harder to buy back. Yeah. But pick a new card. Aaron Rodgers, Topps Chrome, whatever's. I mean, that probably won't be much because he's done. Yeah. But you pick your guy. Then I don't want to pick on any cards. I don't want it to look like I'm bashing anything. Yeah. Because I'm not bashing any cards. In fact, I'll tell you exactly what I'm buying right now at the end. So you'll know that I'm buying everyone on eBay of certain cards. And I'll continue to buy them cheaper and cheaper as people pump them out. Yeah. So I'll be fully disclosure. I'll tell you exactly what I'm buying because, a lot of these guys that hype up and pump up stuff, they won't tell you what they're really doing.
Right. Well, no, exactly.
They'll tell you after they've already bought the mother load. Yeah. I think it's a good buy to buy Topps updates all of a sudden now that I have 7,000.
Right.
I don't do that. No. I'll tell you right now what I'm buying. I'm buying Devin Booker Prisms, 9.5s and PSA 10s. I'm buying Damian Lillard, PSA 10s and BGS 9.5s. And again, they're priced correctly. Those cards are priced pretty good, even when the world's falling apart. Yeah. But there's a guy listening to this show that knows that I used to have 400 Topps Chrome PSA 10s and BGS 9.5 Duncans. Over time, I just kept buying them because I knew that card was underpriced. Now you can't touch it. So it's that same kind of vision. So yeah, I'm buying cards. I'm not just telling you to sell everything, but I think absolutely these replaceable cards you can buy back. Yeah. And if I wasn't buying stuff for buybacks, I would probably on purpose just stay off of eBay for 3 weeks and let things go where they go and not bid things up. Well, I think in some cases people like me bid up certain cards by putting in snipes or bids where they always end up going for X price.
Well, that actually leads kind of into a good question right here from one of our users. Once again, sorry, I cannot see exactly who, but they're saying, assuming what you're saying for the foreseeable future is correct, do you have a timeline in your mind for this selling and buying, or is this really going to be a fluid day-to-day thing, that's adjusting, or do you at least have one in mind?
Well, this is not like a Donald Trump press conference, not picking on it, but one day everything's going to be fine in 30 minutes, and the next day it's July to August.
I know.
So I don't know what's going on in the world. I'm more concerned about the world. I really could care less about cards and money all that much right this second. Yeah. I'm definitely more concerned about family, being able to feed them, get groceries, get toilet paper, get essentials, stay away from people, I am probably less concerned about money and cards right now than I've ever been. Right. But it doesn't mean I have to be stupid. I probably need to sell some stuff. You probably need to sell some stuff. Yeah. The time frame, you should have already sold stuff.
Right.
when the stock market took its first dump, you should have probably said, wow, cards have been hot about as long as the stock market. Maybe cards will soften up a little bit. I do not believe they're going to take a dump like the stock market, but I believe you'll see some substantial change in values. And you should have already started selling. But guess what? When the boat starts to sink, do you say, oh, crap, I'm just going to sink? Or do you go ahead and still try to get on a life raft and find your way? Yeah. And again, this is not life or death. It's only cardboard. Hopefully you're using discretionary money to buy these investment type goods anyway. But I think at this stage, you probably, if you need the money in the next 2 months, you probably need to sell now. And I would sell just because I'd rather have the cash ready to pounce on the guy who's going to call me and didn't want to sell me. I offered a guy to buy 300 sodas, and I was trying to bait him to sell it to me at $80 or $85 a couple weeks ago. And I think people like that may call me now. Yeah. And I'm not paying that price now, but I'd like to be able to buy them at 75, 70, whatever the number is. And guess what? If I don't have any dry powder, I ain't buying crap.
Yeah. No, 100%. Okay, here we go. So let's see. All right. So another comment that we have here from one of our users. Do you anticipate the guys that take a bath selling cards they wanted to hold to recover cash flow to survive will be encouraged to return to this market? Or do we lose luster at 50% loss of investment? And I'll also kind of even take that a step further after this, but going with that.
Unless you buy a player that something happens to the player, and he becomes a dud. Like, let's say you're prospecting on Bowman Chrome. Good luck to you when the guy goes bad.
Right.
I used to own 800 Chesler Cuthberts, so I know what happens when it goes bad. You can make a mistake and lose half your money. You're not losing half your money probably buying Topps Update Kershaw's. You're probably not going to lose half your money.
Yeah.
You can lose 25, 30%. And so that's why I say, if you weren't going to sell before this and you were going to hold it for a couple of years, well, I think you could probably sell it and buy it back. It's not as big a deal. But if you were thinking, you know what, I'm going to need to sell some stuff in the next 30 or 60 days, especially if there is a real shutdown of some sort, which I don't think there will be, like a nationwide shutdown. But if by some crazy reason that happened, you will thank me for reminding you to sell your stuff today.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to get you to sell it to me. Go sell it to someone else out of principle so that you don't think I'm – what is the opposite of pump and dump?
Yeah, I know.
I guess that would – I don't know what that is. Pump and dump.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to scare you into selling these stuff. I probably don't want most of what you have right now.
Right.
You things I buy.
Right.
I'll buy stuff for buybacks, but I would have bought Dan Marino autographs for my buybacks anyway. I'm talking about the stuff that's gone up in value 200% in the last 3 weeks.
Yes, while they're not playing sports or the season's in the off season. So kind of to piggyback off of that,
and Bart Star autos, those are fine. They're not going to crater in value probably. Now, if you have a flawless one that's worth $3,000, you probably should sell it somehow because discretionary income's not probably going to be as much as it is today.
Sure. So to piggyback off of that question a little bit, and this is more for outside, I know there is going to be a lot of interest from people outside of just Coast. So I did want to kind of ask this question a little bit, and it kind of follows along with this. And that's, you were talking about like some of the people that may be not as educated in the hobby, and some of even the new people. We're in a weird time because just a couple of weeks ago, all we were talking about was all the new people coming in because of Gary Vee and all of that stuff. And then all of a sudden we're having this discussion. And so, I mean, it's really two total different extremes. Do you see some of the new influx of people, and some of the people that came in were big, heavy investors from the sneaker world or some of the wine markets, a lot of the other areas that he works in did come into cards and come in heavily. Do you anticipate them sticking around and staying once this is all over?
Yeah, listen, if they're an educated investor right now knows that we're not in a rational situation.
Right.
The values of commodities, whether they're stocks, oil, silver. Look at how silver's imploded. It should be solid right now. I mean, a lot of these asset classes are weak because there's massive uncertainty and fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're a sophisticated investor and you lose 25% on your Acuna Topps update, it really doesn't matter, because guess what? You could never have anticipated the whole world's scared of getting sick.
Yeah.
You could never have anticipated that you could not sit inside a Starbucks with your laptop and drink a coffee. That world you could never have anticipated. I don't think they're going to blame it on trading cards and say, damn cards, I would never have lost a penny if it weren't for damn cards. They probably would have lost a lot more had they bought airline stocks, bank stocks, oil, Halliburton, any of these things. They own those stocks, they got butchered.
Right.
Tesla's lost half its value in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. I mean, they're probably lucky they bought cards.
Yeah.
Because they're only going to lose 20-25% on some of this stuff if they sell it now.
Yeah.
But I think you just have to manage this portfolio like you would any other portfolio. And I really believe guys that are tuned in here, some of them would not have held some of the stuff they held if it were a stock.
Right.
They probably would have turned it and looked for a better spot to invest the money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'm saying. It's just look at your portfolio, make a smart decision for you. If you're not over-invested, don't sell anything.
Yeah.
I believe 2 years from now, things will be much more expensive than they are today on many of these cards. Mm-hmm. So I am a bull. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like I think the world's ending. 100% not. I am so bullish. I went on stage in Vegas a few years ago and called a multi-year bull market. Mm-hmm. I promise you, the rookies in football are ridiculously good. I mean, we have all kinds of great things happening, except for the world around us. And that's going to change at some point. So we've got to weather this. Mm-hmm. But for you, weathering it may mean you've got to get some dry powder. You got to have some cash. Because if you don't have any cash, the Dow can go to 10,000. If you don't have any cash to buy, you're not going to make any long-term. You're not going to really seize the opportunity of fear and panic that's probably overdone. That same fear and panic may not happen here, but it could.
Yeah.
And if 89 PSA 10s drop back from 600 to 300, I'll take it. I'll put 300,000 in those, $250,000, whatever it is. I'll put that in. So I'll tell you, in the next 60 days, I'd love to spend $1 million, $2 million on cards. But I think it's a function of the values have to correct a little bit to reflect the risk, and they have not adjusted for the risk yet. Once that adjustment happens, it does not have to be 30, 40% even. Mm-hmm. It's just got to be like, hey, we understand there's some risk.
Right.
And then I'll probably put a bunch of money at play, and maybe I'll be totally wrong and we'll laugh about it like Chesler Cuthbert. Or maybe I'll catch the bottom. I don't know. But I am bullish. I am net bullish. 100%. Market will be higher probably a year and a half from now than it is today. And I only say that because I don't know how long this mania is going to go on.
Yeah. And do you think, now when you're saying, are you saying the market across the board? Are you thinking that from, like base rookies all the way up to the national treasure stuff across all sports?
I think.
Are you more inclined?
In a year, I love everything.
Okay.
I think I'm going to love it in 60 days. I really do. I think this is going to be a 60-day phenomenon.
Yeah.
I don't believe August, July. It changes every time they open their mouths. I don't know when it is.
I know.
But I believe in 2 or 3 months, let's say. Mm-hmm. I like everything in 2 or 3 months. I don't think you have to wait a year and a half. I'm hedging. That way I'll be right. But I'm telling you, there's a real chance in 2 months that the stuff goes in like a U shape or a V shape within 2 months. That 2 weeks from now, you're looking at $70 Sotos that'll be back to 110 in 90 days. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather take that Soto I paid 80 for, sell it for 70, buy it back at 60 or 50, and then ride it back to 100. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather make the margins that you're going to make buying closer to the bottom. Yeah. And if one person in the chat room can tell me why these things should rise in the next 60 days, I'll take my shoe off and nibble on it, because I don't think there's a good reason. I don't, unless you're going to have enough money to buy every copy, no matter what it takes. And I've tried that before, and I ran out of money, or I ran out of guts, one of the two. Yeah. You can't make something go up when the market's not ready for it.
Absolutely.
Not for real. You can hype it and scam and pump stuff up, but you can't make it really go up. You can't make customers really want it.
Yeah. So real quick, kind of deviate from this for a second. It's some questions that we have in the comments, and it's I talked to some of the people there. Obviously, I'm scheduled to do the show on the main stage this year, but a lot of people are asking about the national. I know you obviously talked to them a lot more than I. Have you heard anything in terms of? There's a lot of questions here wondering if we're going to be getting the national this year. Do you think we will?
See, that would be something that would concern me. If we don't have the national, I become a little more bearish on the market.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of people have a lot of inventory, and a lot of people rely on that event to turn a lot of money. Because I know Leaf, in the last several years, $400,000 is about the least we've spent at the national in any show.
Yeah.
And we've spent much more than that. And so I will tell you that, and people love it because I one year got so crazy, I had someone come knock on the bathroom door while I was using the bathroom saying, "Hey, Brian, do you want to look at some stuff?" And I was like, "Not here, not right now." And I don't think I ever looked at the guy's stuff because it annoyed me so bad. But, I think the bottom line is that losing that show would make me a little bit more nervous. I think we'll be fine by then. I really do. And no one goes to Atlantic City anyway. There's probably no one there.
Yeah.
That's a place you're not going to have a problem, probably. Atlantic City will probably have a national. And honestly, that may be really starts catching fire again. And so maybe
that's where I was about to ask.
Let's go a year as a national. Keep your powder dry so you can really start to feel. So when you go to the national, you are big pimping because you got stuff.
Yeah. No, that was what I was about to ask was if you thought, if your end result that you do think the national is going to happen. And so you said you were that has a big determination on if you're bullish on the market or not. Is that including even long term, like you said, in a year or two?
A year is fine. In a year or two, everything's going to be peachy. We're going to laugh. I don't think we'll laugh about this. Yeah. This is a serious thing, even though it's taken some people a little while to realize it's serious. We're not going to laugh about this. We're going to look back on it and say, we panicked. We panicked for good reason, but we learned something. Because I'll tell you what, we learned that our country, we are vulnerable in some ways. This is not like it's a biological weapon, and we are showing our vulnerability. This was a good exercise in, wake up, guys. Welcome to 2020. This was a very good exercise for our country, and it's horrible that we've lost people to it. But I think we're going to learn that we have to have a totally different. Honestly, we're going to hug our kids harder. Yeah, we're going to love our wives more. We're going to appreciate some stuff that we didn't appreciate quite enough because of this. And it is what it is. My bullishness a year from now, we're going to look back and say, man, I can't believe that I could have bought this.
Right. Yeah, and you're also seeing
I could have bought this.
You're also seeing a lot of cards being put up right now at auction, like 99-cent flat auction that normally you would never see without an outrageous buy it now price. I mean, there is a lot of craziness going on in the market right now.
But eBay's not helping that because there's too many buy it nows on eBay now. You can't wait through them. It's too many. Too many buy it nows. You get lost in the shuffle. And honestly, when I buy, 98% of my purchases are auction style. 2% are buy it now.
Yeah. Yep. No, 100.
I spend $300 on average. We spend about $300,000 a month on eBay.
Yeah. Well, Brian, we've been on for about an hour now, and I wanted to before we do wrap everything up, y'all. If you do have any more questions, please put them in the comments. Brian would be happy to answer them.
Oh, for sure.
But thank you again for doing this. I think once again you're the perfect person to be discussing all of this because, like we said at the beginning, you really have been in the industry on all different angles of this. But
what I'll tell you. One thing, Drew, if we can say, we were talking, me and you.
Yeah.
And this shows you my bullishness on the market. We're talking about in the next few weeks launching a weekly show that has, I use the working title Cardboard Cash.
Yes.
And think Mad Money with Jim Cramer. Because honestly, as the opportunities start to roll in, I think someone with credibility, and not just me. I'm talking about people from this community. Imagine a show where people from this example pop up on a show or call into a show and have opportunities to share some of these ideas. Like I just shared with you, Bookers and Lillards, way too cheap. They're two of the top 15 players in the league, and they sell for nothing. It's ridiculous. They're incredible buys. I freaking love those cards. Love them, love them, love them. You know, so I mean, that's an idea. I probably won't be able to buy any of those for the next couple of weeks because I'll probably get outbid now because I've been stingy lately and just I've held the line on what I'm willing to pay.
Right.
But I think it's a platform where we can share with general Joe Q public, not in a hype, pump and dump format, but in a here is why we think what we think. There's historical behavior that shows me that X is likely to happen. Historical valuations tell me that X. None of this means anything. It could all go the opposite way for sure, but it's just ideas. Yep. And so Drew, me and you, we talked about doing a show, and so I can see that happening in the next few weeks.
Exactly. No, it's absolutely
good. I hope you guys will be excited also to be part of content for what I think for the public.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Guys, this is going to be a lot of fun. If you've seen the show Hobby Hotline, which we do, it's going to be run on that same type of platform. So you will, like Brian was just saying, you'll be able to call in and you can do it from a phone, a computer, anything with video or just audio. You're able to call in, get some really interesting feedback. But, we're going to focus on that show, like Brian said, give you some really the details that you want to know, the information behind our reasoning, and give you guys hopefully an in-depth breakdown on the cardboard we all love. So be coming in just couple of weeks.
I love the concept of customers calling in saying, "Hey, Acuna Topps update, buy or sell." And it's like buy. I love it. I mean, I love that. Today I'm a little more cautious, but I think as we come out of this nervousness or this reset, I think this topic is ripe. And the more I'll say this for Gary Vee, and me and him are talking about doing something together at the National on the main stage, maybe. Honestly, we need more people to come into our industry.
Yes.
Positive ambassadors to that. And we can still be positive ambassadors and manage our portfolios carefully at the same time.
Yeah.
Drew, thank you, man. I appreciate you taking some time to moderate and kind of keep it going.
Absolutely, Brian. Thanks so much. And thanks everybody for who asked a question, was in the comments or anything. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and be on the lookout. Like Brian said, a new show will be coming here in just a few weeks, but don't panic. The world's not ending. And really, seriously, take this stuff to heart, because this is a time, like Brian said, that's ripe for the picking. But Brian, thank you so much for taking the time out.
You got it, guys.
Being so honest
with Tony, as my friend Tony always says, rise up, baby, rise up. Here we go.
Absolutely. Well, y'all have a good evening, and we'll see you soon.
You guys have a great night.